Wasting time, all of my life, living in a world of aggression, tyranny's mixed with self-oppression. What am I to do but tear away when I'm boiling at the top? Try to find a way. Good evening, everybody. Tonight we're going to be doing Flat Earth versus Globe Earth, and I apologize. We were going to have a 2v2, but we moved it into a 1v1. We had a cancellation, so we're going to have Iron Horse versus Aden tonight. And to get us kicked off, Iron Horse, the floor is yours.
Oh, well, thank you, Ryan. And I did write an introduction that probably doesn't make quite as much sense now that we've gone back to a 1v1. But I did say, well, greetings to all esteemed opponents, or opponent, and I think we might have been on the same side in many respects. Our gracious host Ryan and the modern day non-partisan debate channel and long-suffering listeners from all creeds and cults, whatever your personal philosophy may be. To paraphrase the famous author Sir Arthur Conan Doyle through his great detective character Sherlock Holmes, investigation is a process of elimination. When all that is impossible has been dismissed, that which remains, however improbable, must be the truth. Therefore, when someone makes a positive claim, the burden of proof rests with he who makes the claim. It's not the responsibility of the skeptic to prove them wrong. However, the scientific process of investigation demands that we question everything. Confirmation bias must be set aside, and whichever conclusion is most preferred by the seeker of truth and knowledge must be scrutinised most vehemently. Failure to do so creates an extremely fuzzy line between that which is scientific fact and that which is cult or religious belief. Without further ado, let's jump immediately into the origins of the spinning space ball belief. In fact, almost 2,000 years prior to when Copernicus and fellow religious brethren put it spinning daily on its axis, annually orbiting the sun like a wandering star, and considered the ancient Greek philosophers who proposed a geocentric stationary spherical Earth, inspired by the likes of Pythagoras, the mathematical philosopher who proposed that the sphere was the perfect shape since every point of the surface is equidistant from the center. Although still roughly 25 centuries or so before the first known telescope was used to observe the celestials, it was not unreasonable to assume that since they all look round, there's a good chance they might also be spherical. So when Aristotle saw a circular shadow eclipsing a full moon, it was assumed the sun going around the central Earth was casting Earth's shadow onto the moon. This is the first challenge of confirmation bias, because anyone can place a ball in the sun and cast a shadow onto it with a flat book or card, and we see that it's the ball itself causing the shadow to appear curved. Evidence which proves the moon is spherical, at least the only side of it we see, is not evidence that the Earth is spherical, nor is it proof the sun is actually beneath the ground casting a shadow from Earth onto the moon. In fact, in modern times with modern technology, we've come to know that sometimes on Earth, we'll see the shadow of something eclipsing the moon while the sun is still visible. Known as the Selenelian eclipse, it eliminates all possibility of it being the Earth eclipsing the moon, and if time permitted, we might explore the plethora of other possibilities that actually fit observations over and above personal preferences. Another example. Had the head librarian of Alexandria, circa 2 to 300 BC, set out to prove the Earth was flat and stationary with a nearby local sun, then the method Eratosthenes used to estimate the circumference of the spherical Earth with a simple change of biases would have confirmed the former rather than the latter. It would seem to me, in fact, that every bit of globe evidence in existence is extracted from deep within the realms of personal confirmation biases rather than held to the deep flames of rational scrutiny through which every scientific theory must ultimately pass. The globe has simply been accepted into groupthink, collective hive mind of humanity through the process of brainwashing and repetitive suggestion, to the point where most of us aren't even aware that our very thoughts are not our own. Our reactions, our responses are often little more than rehearsed catchphrases and popular appeals to authorities. By all means, we should stand on the shoulders of giants past and present and use their knowledge, wisdom, and to advance us into the future present. But bear in mind, the tool is only as useful as the hand which wields it. We stand before the greatest tool in living human consciousness as you witness not just the internet sharing information by the gigabyte per nanosecond, but the live birth of artificial intelligence itself. And it seems as though, despite having the greatest tool at our disposal, we have no master craftsman capable of wielding it to create the ultimate masterpiece. It's always inevitably at the crossroads where we find ourselves making a deal with the devil. Everyone always chooses the red pill in the dream because the blue pill is so powerful it creates the illusion that you're in control. If we are to wield our tool in accordance with every known law of physics, we must accept that water always seeks its level, that higher pressure always moves to low, and that resistance is the only force which prevents a thing from dropping. Otherwise, an object in motion remains in motion. The force of resistance comes from density, the relative density of the object to its surrounding medium. Since we live in the medium of air on the ground, the density of air relative to everything else allows it to drop if it's more dense. The multiple speeds and directions it must drop to create the illusion of dropping straight down on the heliocentric spinning spaceball belief boggles the mind to how any sane person of rational mind can believe them unless they are so outside of sane, they are insane.
All right, wrapped up right there. Thank you for that intro there, Iron Horse. Just want to remind everybody that Modern Day Debate is a neutral platform. We host religion, science, politic debates. We just had our DebateCon 4 and put up 10 videos of great debates with amazing speakers, so go check them out. It was a wild weekend. Over to you, Aden, up to 10 minutes for your introductory statement.
Alrighty. So, in terms of evidence that the Earth is flat, oh, sorry, the Earth is round. Oh, I've already lost. There we go. Now, in terms of the evidence that the Earth is round, when I was trying to pick some for this debate, I was like it was like a buffet. I had so much to pick from, I didn't know where to even start. Um, to give a couple of examples, one would be that when you're on the southern hemisphere and you look south, and you've got somebody else on a different geographical position also looking south, they are able to see the same constellations. Now, on the flat Earth model, that such a thing shouldn't be possible. They should be looking in different directions. But under the globe Earth model, they are looking in the same direction and are thus able to see the same constellation. Another piece of evidence that the Earth is round and not flat comes from Aristophanes, as Iron Horse did mention. What the experiment that Aristophanes, I don't know if I'm saying his name right, but I'm going to go with that. Aristophanes did was that he observed that shadows in the city of Cyrene at noon, well, that were non-existent. Like the sun would come up over the houses and stuff, and there'd be no shadows casting from the houses. So he walked over to Alexandria, held up a stick, and tried to figure out if that stick would cast a shadow at noon. As it turns out, it did. Now, he was able to measure the shadow and able to mathematically determine not only that the Earth would have to be round, but also the circumference of the Earth. And he did so with pretty damn good accuracy. Now, of course, how this would be what was verified by modern science, that we've also, gone to space, we've taken photos of the Earth, all that sort of stuff. NASA's done a lot of work in this. And of course, we're expected to believe that a lot of this is either confirmation bias, as Iron Horses put forward, or it's some sort of a conspiracy. They're lying to us to hold to a certain opinion or something. And I guess I would have to ask why. What would be the point? What motivation would each of these people have to prefer a globe Earth over a round Earth? Iron Horse mentioned Pythagoras, that it was a belief that that a circle is the most perfect shape, and that's all well and good. But obviously, that doesn't reflect on NASA's position that the Earth is globe, because they'll even tell you that it's not perfectly circular. So they wouldn't agree with Pythagoras on his point there. Neither did Aristophanes use that kind of reasoning to justify his position. He used experimentation along with logic and mathematics, and he came to his conclusion based off that. And it's all well and good to say that, well, we need to consider the alternative of a flat Earth theory, but the flat Earth theory doesn't provide any alternative evidence that we might consider other than just asking questions, really. How is it that, you know, I I can't remember what Einor said specifically about air density, but he had questions to ask about air density. It didn't seem to make sense to him. Well, that's all well and good that you can ask that question, but asking a question isn't an argument. If you aren't really sure about how air density is supposed to work under the global Earth model, then ask a scientist, and they'll be happy to tell you. It doesn't really prove anything about the flat Earth model. Like, what I guess I'm sort of trying to say here is that I'm interested in what the positive evidence for the flat Earth model is. Why should I? Because I've been raised to believe that the Earth is a globe. But why should I believe that everybody who's told me that is lying in favor of your model? Like, because you could also, not to accuse you of anything, but you could also just be lying or deceived. And we could always say that, oh, you only believe what you believe because you're raised in a culture. That's a fallacious argument, because that's not addressing the validity of the argument itself. It's just addressing where the argument comes from. So I would like to know why the flat Earth model has more validity than the globe Earth model, when the globe Earth model makes sense of every single observation we've ever made about the Earth, from everything to the fact that when we look out into the universe, we seem to see that every other planet is round. We have no reason to believe that ours is different. All of our global positioning systems, satellites, all these different technologies that we use in our everyday lives all depend on the fact that the Earth is round. So I would love to see the positive evidence for why the Earth is flat.
All right, we're going to kick it into an open discussion. I'm going to remind everybody in our live chat too that we're going to be doing a Q&A at the end of this. So if you get your questions in now, they're going to be asked nice and early. Both of our guests are going to be linked in the description below, so check that out for sure. Iron Horse, I'm going to hand it back to you to respond to some of what you just heard to get us into our open discussion. Thanks for being here, everybody.
Yeah, no problem. Wow. Yeah, like I can hear the conviction in your voice that you believe in what you're saying, but when you say everything comports with the experience of what you expect for a round Earth, I mean, round doesn't even mean spherical to begin with. But even if you did assume the spherical Earth, you have to assume, the most fundamental aspect of the spinning space ball is that it's spinning faster than the speed of sound, 1 1/3 times on its axis, and it's hurtling through space 65 times the speed of sound. And you're saying that our observations match that. None of our observations match any amount of motion whatsoever. So you've started with a very strong appeal to authority, which has no basis in reality. Like, nobody has ever detected motion in Earth. In fact, one of the things I was going to present, but I didn't have enough time to, was a series of quotes of different scientists throughout the ages who have fundamentally said that everything that we observe acts as though the Earth itself is not in motion. Everything.
I'd be very surprised to hear that, considering that all the scientists I've ever seen of all who care very much about observation. Obviously, observation is an integral part of the scientific method, and the entirety of the scientific community says that the Earth is in motion around the sun. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, you say that I make an appeal to authority, but quoting sources, like, you even say that you have scientists that say that there's no motion in the Earth. So I guess I would have to say, what makes you able to quote those scientists, and if they even did say that, and why can't I quote these scientists? What is it about their arguments that's actually wrong? I don't like. I don't think I heard that. Sorry.
Right. Yeah. Well, I've just opened up a list, and the first one's by Albert Einstein, and we've got Richard Wolfson, Henry Poincare, Hendrik Lorentz, Lincoln Barnett, Julian Barbour, Isaac Newton, Stephen Hawking, George Ellis, and Lawrence Krauss. And each one of them is making a quote specifically saying that we observe the Earth to be at rest. I could go through them. I'll run at random. No physical experiment has ever proved that the Earth is actually in motion. that's Lincoln Barnett. Every single one of them has said, through the scientific process, we've detected no motion of the Earth. And you have to bear in mind that this is many decades after Foucault's pendulum had already been in existence. So all of them scientifically are saying it's a bunch of nothing as well. So, you know, I
So
could
you
quote each
mentioned
one if you
Einstein.
like.
So you mentioned Einstein there. So is the person who came up with the theory of general relativity, which, explains the whole, you know, orbit of all the planets and everything like that. You think that that person, are you suggesting that that person actually thought that the Earth was flat?
He's never said that the Earth was flat. I doubt that the idea
Okay.
even crossed his mind, but because he was so indoctrinated into the idea that we are going around the sun, that he couldn't believe the fact we have no optical experiments that can prove that we're in motion, even
Um,
though that Foucault's pendulum was well known for at least 3 decades prior.
so you so you say Einstein was indoctrinated. Indoctrinated based on what? What are they indoctrinating with?
The belief that the Earth is going around the sun,
Yeah, but
heliocentrism.
what did they use to indoctrinate him? Because Einstein's a pretty smart guy, He believes in evidence. He's a scientist. He's obviously pretty scrupulous about a lot of things. He changed our fundamental understanding of how time works. I don't think you really pull a fast one on good old Einstein. So how did they fool him? Like, what did they give him that fool him?
Well, it's quite possible that some people are just savants. You know, they can be brilliant at one thing, but absolutely useless at another. And so
Yeah, but
why he might
I
have
don't think
come up with something
Einstein.
brilliant on one aspect, he might have been completely autistic on another level. Who knows? I can't say. I wasn't there, but
Well, I certainly don't think that Einstein was uh, incredulous, let's say, on
autistic.
astrology and that sort of thing. Yeah, I don't really prefer that term to be honest, but when it comes to science and that sort of stuff and the way that the planets move, I would think that Einstein, if he was indoctrinated into the belief that the Earth is round and that it goes around the sun, it's probably because the scientific community maybe provided him some sort of evidence, and it seemed to convince Einstein. Um, so I guess I would have to ask why that evidence would be wrong.
Okay, well, on that basis, say I was Einstein, for example, I'd never been exposed to heliocentrism before. What would be your greatest evidence that you could present to me to convince me that the Earth is a spinning ball going around the sun?
Well, first of all, it's we're not really debating the heliocentric model. I mean, we guess we could, but most
Well,
I
we are,
was
because that's what the globe is. The globe is the heliocentric model, or the flat Earth is the base at the bottom of the known universe. It's one or the other. So if you're going
well,
to
no,
argue on
we're
behalf of the globe, then you have to be arguing the heliocentric model because they go hand in hand. You can't argue it
yeah,
without
but
All right, you
we're
got to give him
arguing
a
we're
chance to
arguing
respond there.
we're arguing on the the curvature of the Earth. We're arguing that, for example, like the evidence that I provided you, that two people on different positions on the Earth can look south and see the exact same constellation. Seems to suggest that the Earth is round. Same thing with Aristophanes' experiments made 2,200 years ago. Um, all these different experiments that have been done. And it's like, well, okay, this seems to suggest the Earth is round. Um, it seems to me that the only real way that you can suggest that the Earth is flat is to say that all that's. I want to know why that's wrong. Like, why is Aristophanes wrong? Why is why how is it possible that I can see the same constellation from the flat Earth model? I just don't get that yet. We haven't heard that
Yeah,
yet.
well, I think just as I explained in my opening, is that if you were trying to set out that the Earth is flat with a local sun, then the Eratosthenes experiment actually proves that. If that's the evidence that you're looking for, because the shadow will be different because the sun is 500 or 800 stadia away or whatever it might have been at the time. So it's going to cast a different shadow at the same time in two different places as it goes around the equator. That's why we have sundials and we have time zones, because the sun is what's going around above the stationary planar Earth, and that is basically the hour hand of a 24-hour clock going around above us every day. So
Yeah,
that can easily be interpreted, the Eratosthenes experiment interpreted in a completely different method or completely different understanding to say it actually proves our argument, not the preconceived bias of Eratosthenes, who was looking at to prove it was a ball, in which case it would still also work, But you
Well, I
have to
could
then
also,
prove that it's 93 million miles away. And I've yet to see a single glober ever give me evidence for why they can say the sun is 93 million miles away.
well, first of all, I could also say, like, just to address the point you made earlier, that you seem to think that the evidence for your view seems to support the sun spinning around the thing. What you said, 800 stadia away. That's the same distance of, from Cyrene to Alexandria. So you think that that distance, the distance between Cyrene and Alexandria, that's how far away the sun is. We would be able to probably,
No,
like,
no,
I'm pretty sure we could fly
that
that
was just
high.
the
We could
distance.
fly higher than that. I'm pretty sure.
That was the distance between the two places that was estimated by the angle of the shadows that the sun was casting. It's got nothing to do with the height. It's
Oh,
just
I
got
thought
to
you
do with
said.
the distance.
Sorry, I thought you said the sun was that far
And
away.
since you did say that we can fly 500 miles high, that's absolute bullshit. We can't
We
go
could
more than
send
freaking
rockets up there and
80
everything.
miles, man. 80 miles is probably about the top height anything can possibly fly before it starts losing any amount of drive and falls back to Earth.
Well, do you wait? Do you believe in? I guess I have to ask. Do you believe in gravity and stuff like that? Is that what you're saying is the problem there? Like, I'm confused because because obviously from my worldview we've sent rockets up into space, so it's like we would have checked if there was like a sun that was pretty damn close. But
Well, if it was obvious, we wouldn't be discussing this. It would be
no,
as obvious as you
that's
say. But everything I've ever
well,
seen shows a rocket going into a big Disney curve and falling back to Earth, and that's exactly
well.
what I would
So
expect from the whole density and buoyancy equation. Is that when the air gets so rarefied, nothing can thrust through it, nothing can steer through it, and it just falls back to Earth.
All right,
that's
one
what
chance
happens
to
when
let
you
Aiden
trust mere
respond.
observation. That's what happens when you trust mere observation. If I was in a desert and I saw water, in front of me, and I just took it at face value, oh yeah, that water must be there. But upon closer inspection, I see that there's no water there. You would just assume, well, the water was there, but it disappeared. Like mere observation isn't going to get you that far. And second of all, you mentioned that the Aristophanes' findings was just as compatible with the flat Earth view as with the round Earth view. I could also say that I believe that shadows are created by these magical spirits, and that the reason that those shadows were of different lengths was because the spirits were casting them at different lengths because they decided to, and that explains the findings of Aristophanes, right? Would it not? But obviously, I would need additional evidence as on top of that to say, oh well, we can make sense of it too. It's all well and good that an alternative argument can make sense of, but I want, like I said in the beginning, I want more positive evidence to believe in the flat Earth. Like, listen, I'm open, right? Preach to me, like convert me to this idea. I want you to convince me to be a flat earther because it's going to have to mean giving up believing that these people are telling the truth. It means I'm going to have to distrust these people who seem to work very hard. I'm going to need something here. Going to need to give me something other than this vague skepticism towards these findings, which you seem to be very selective on.
Okay, well, look, as much as that seems like I don't know, some sort of beautiful motivational speech there, I've got no urge to want to convince you one way or the next. I really don't give a
Why are
shit
you in
what
a
most people
debate?
believe.
Why are you in a
I,
debate? Like this is a debate. You're supposed to be
I'm
trying to
just
convince me,
debating
man.
because I believe that my understanding of the way things are is probably more correct than others, but it's not like I give a shit whether or not people believe it on an individual basis. I mean, until you came
You
along, I
should.
didn't know
Okay,
from
maybe you're not
far
motivated, but
say
you
it.
should be
So,
able to at least verbalize it, right? Like explain the reasoning. Like I'm just curious about why you think this. So explain to me what positive reasons are there for believing in a flat Earth,
all right,
other
no,
than maybe it
that's quite simple.
looks.
Well, it's quite simple to me because reality exists on the physical plane. And as far as I'm concerned, it's the only physical plane in existence. Whether or not it's infinite, I don't know. Whether or not there's other dimensions and different sorts of planes, I don't know. But what we're seeing is the physical reality. And when we're looking up into the sky, we're looking at lights in the sky. We're not looking at physical reality. We're not looking at other planets and stars. The stars aren't suns. What we're seeing is what we're getting. It is what it is. I
I've
just don't think
seen.
there's anything physical that we can go beyond. We can go down to a certain depth of water and go up to a certain height in the air. But beyond that, it's not within our physical capabilities of even contemplating being able to explore in the first place, let alone, keep daydreaming about it and sending rockets and that sort of bullshit because we can never go there. We've never been there. And I don't think we ever have. I think nothing's ever gone above 70 miles maximum height because
Okay,
there's a
so
firmament above us.
all the people who say they have gone up there are lying. Got it. So I'd have to
Yep.
believe that. Also, you say that we've never been able to explore it. So then how can you possibly have any confidence that the Earth is flat? If you can't even, if you by your own admission can't even observe this, you can't actually like go up into space, look down at the Earth and check. If you believe that's impossible, then how could you possibly have any extra confidence that the Earth is
Because,
flat?
dude, you don't have to go up there to see what's down here. You just go down here. You explore down here. You see what's around you. You explore as far as you can. There's a time lapse video you can look up right now, 30 days time lapse at sea, and it just shows 30 days of non-stop absolute flatness. It's flat, man. That's it.
Well,
To imagine
like
that
saying
there's
to a
curve
fish, you
somewhere
don't have
outside
to.
out of mind is a form of insanity. That's all it is.
That's like if a fish was to say, you don't need to go out there and check to see if there's anything other than water. Everything's just this ocean, dude. There's nothing else there. We don't need to check. We could just tell that from where we're standing right here. No, and even if that was
I
true,
didn't say
we
that,
did check.
but I didn't say
We
that, did I? I said by
You pretty much
traveling,
did.
exploring, checking out what's down here. You
Yeah, but
know,
we checked what's up there. I don't. Well, I guess what I would have to ask all those people who went into rockets, trained their, for this grueling thing because it's not easy to do, right? It's a very
I
expensive endeavor
guess
to send rockets up into space, right? Costs people a lot of money.
you're telling
What
the
do they get
story.
out of lying? I don't. What's the why should I believe that they're lying?
A paycheck.
I just said it was a very expensive endeavor. I mean, sure, the astronauts they sent up there, yeah, they get a good paycheck, but it's obviously costing people quite a bit of money.
Well, imagine, the level of pride that America would have to swallow if they found out 100% for sure that the moon landings were a hoax. That amount of stuff could potentially cause riots, for a certain amount of people in that sort of
Can you
mindset.
imagine how much money a scientist would make if they were able to definitively prove that that was the case? Like if they were to demonstrate to the scientific community that there is an empirical,
Okay.
logically consistent, verifiable, demonstrable fact that the moon landing was in fact fake, and then they did that, they would be one of the most famous scientists of all time, Nobel Peace Prize. Yeah, sure, America would hate them, but I mean, since when is like America like I don't see why you even bring that up. Like
I'm sorry, but you've just equated having insider knowledge exposing the biggest fraud of humankind as somehow going to make you a huge amount of profit. I mean,
if you could
what are
demonstrate
you
it to the
living in?
scientific community, if you could demonstrate it to the
What are you
scientific
living in?
community,
Oh, the scientific community going to throw money at you? Oh, because you come up with something controversial that they
it would be
disagree
a
with?
if you could prove it, it'd be a Nobel
Yeah,
Peace
I
Prize.
mean, fucking
They give you
hell.
$1 million for winning a Nobel
Oh,
Peace
God.
Prize. That's a thing.
Really?
Sorry. Is the Nobel Peace Prize also like? There's no such thing as Nobel Peace Prize. It's also a hoax that they're in on it too, or something. Why should I? I'm like the
No,
list of
God.
people I have to
No, no,
believe.
no, no,
The
no.
list of
They're all
people
on
that I
your
have to
side,
believe.
dude. They're all on
Hang
your
on,
side.
hang on. The list of people I have to believe are lying, just to for me to get to believe you, specifically you, and maybe a handful of other people. It seems a bit like I just don't know why you think that your findings are all that special. You don't really. You
Special.
haven't given me anything. I've asked times just
I'm getting
by.
lagging.
That's
You're
mere
getting
observation.
lagging.
I've already. Oh,
We're
hang
getting a
on.
little tiny bit of lag out of
Yeah,
your.
is my hang on, is my internet lagging?
Just a tiny little bit. We might have just missed that very last part, so let's just wait till we clean up a bit. And starting to look a little bit better.
Oh,
Do you want to try just finishing off
I
your
think
last
I
bit
think
there?
it's better now. We good. I was just saying, like all this conspiracism that all these different people are lying was well, that'd certainly be quite a claim. I just want to know why. Why are they lying? How do you know they're lying? What can you give me to show me that they're lying? I just don't see it. You've made vague generalizations. You've said that me asking for such a thing is a very inspiring speech. I'm just asking questions here. I'm just trying to find out why you think the way you do, and you've not been able to provide me with anything. I'm just asking why. Like, just give me something. Give me something to work with here. You've given me nothing so far.
Well, dude, I think basically, nobody's actually lying, are they? Because nobody's actually coming right out and saying that the Earth is a spinning ball hurtling around the sun like millions of miles an hour, like in every second of every day. None of them are actually doing it. Most people are just getting on with their day without even addressing that thing that you're assuming that you believe in because you've been told it's true since you're a freaking 5-year-old looking at a globe in a classroom. But nobody is actually going out of their way to keep drumming it home that they are lying about it all the time. We've seen a few select images
you
over
keep
the
saying they're lying.
decades.
Why should I
A
believe you
few
when you're like,
select
why
images
should I
over the
believe you?
decades. I'll let you speak. Yeah, I won't be long.
Yeah, sorry. I was just going to say, you say that they're lying. That's quite the accusation. I want to know what evidence that
I
do
didn't
you have?
say
Like,
they're lying. You're saying that I'm saying they're lying. I'm not saying they're lying because they're not even talking about it. They haven't
so
presented it
nobody's
other
even
than a
saying the
few
word.
Second
Well,
there,
random
Aden.
examples
I'm
over
gonna
the
let him wrap up.
decades that we barely even see and we just are taken to be assumed as the truth. Whereas most of the time we're not. Most of the time they just say global warming, but we just dismiss it because we've seen the images of the globe so many times in the videos and the movies and all that sort of shit that we assume it's a globe.
and also
But there's
photos from the
nobody actually
International
saying
Space
that it is
Station
actually a globe.
and photos of the
Any
International Space
ever.
Station, which you say are all lies for some reason. Like people have gone to the International Space Station, looked down, and say, "Yep,
Right.
oh look, it's a globe," and that's a
So do
lie.
you believe that
Why?
thing goes around us once every 90 minutes?
Yeah,
You do.
yes,
And how fast do
because
you
I've
actually believe that the Earth is rotating around the sun?
well, Earth completes a rotation of the sun once every 365 days.
Yeah. So if it's 93
Yeah.
million miles away and you're traveling almost 1 degree per day, you're going about 1,600,000 miles a
Objects in
day.
space which incur no resistance move very fast. I don't
Yeah,
see
it
what
is.
the
That's
problem
fine. That's
is.
fine. Look, resistance
Objects
or
in space
otherwise.
move fast.
But,
What's the
but
problem?
so you admit then that the Earth is moving 1,600,000 miles a day to go almost a degree around the sun.
Yeah. Okay. Problem?
Well, how fast is the ISS going?
Around well, it goes 90 minutes around Earth. It's up
So
in Earth's orbit. So,
17,500 miles per hour.
yeah, sure. Problem?
And that's
I'm
assuming
I'm
that the
still
Earth is standing
I'm waiting
still.
to hear a problem. I'm waiting to hear a
Okay.
problem because
So,
our
all right.
scientific models of how
Well, here's
gravity
your
works.
problem, man. Here's your problem that
Well,
you're waiting for.
look, like
The,
I'll
the
listen to your
Earth,
problem.
the Earth moving 66,600 miles per hour with the ISS going around at 17,500 miles per hour means that the ISS isn't going fast enough to go around the Earth the whole time, unless it's going 17,500 miles per hour plus 66,600 miles per hour, plus then the 514,000 miles per hour of the additional speed going in another direction, following the sun through the universe.
All right, so let's unpack that. I want to use an example real quick. So, what? So, do you believe that all the planets in our solar system they orbit around the Earth?
The planets orbit around the sun.
So the planets orbit around the sun.
Yep.
Okay. So, like Jupiter, for example, you aware that Jupiter has moons?
Yeah, it's got about yeah, 4 main ones.
Yeah, like yeah, right.
Some people
So,
say 30 little ones.
so Jupiter is orbiting the sun at a very fast speed, right? And then you've also got its moons
Well, it
orbiting
takes
it
a
as well.
whole year to go a little bit around it.
Yeah,
Fast is
yeah,
all relative.
yeah, sure. But like they're moving at pretty high speeds, same as the Earth, right? Obviously, maybe I can't remember if the
Well,
Earth
the
is moving
sun takes
faster
all
than the
day
Earth.
to go around us once.
So I'm still trying to wait. I'm still trying to make sense of your model now. So the all the other planets are orbiting the sun. The sun's orbiting us. Am I getting that right? So you almost have a heliocentric model, except Earth's just a special exception for no reason.
You have to see them as flat plates. So each one is a flat plate above us, and some of them are rotating at slightly different speeds. The sun is going exactly 24 hours. The stars are going 23 hours, 56 minutes. The wandering stars are doing their own individual orbital thing, which will make it look like they're doing a spiroscopic sort of model above us. So when viewed from the stationary fixed planar Earth below looking up at it, the wandering stars seem to move in
Well, I've
sacred
got to view
geometric
the
patterns.
planets which you've observed around as fixed plates. So I'm assuming that the plates never turn on an axis at all, because otherwise we'd be able to see them go thinner and that sort of thing.
Well, technically the axis is the North Pole, but they can still act within their own planar dimension. It's
Okay, so
I guess it's advanced level stuff.
we've gone through a lot of claims here. So So I do agree that the planets orbit around the sun. We're in agreement on that. Um, but the Earth is the exception. All the planets are plates. What
Ah, ah.
observations, or no, I'm about to ask you, even if I was to grant you the validity of this theory somehow, what would be the observations other than just like, because even like, uh, I, 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 I don't even know how to ask you this question because if I ask you what observations would we have because we've observed other things that contradict your theory, anytime we observe anything that contradicts your theory, you're just going to say it's a lie. You realize we could do that with anything. How could I possibly falsify your view when you just want to shut your eyes to the evidence? Like, I just don't know where to go from here. Like, what criteria are you using to say that these observations are lies, but these ones are the truth, other than you happen to agree already with those observations? Because you've talked a lot about confirmation bias, but ignoring evidence when it contradicts your view is confirmation bias, and that appears to be what you're doing. So yeah, what's the criteria, I guess?
Okay, what I'm sensing here is that you've got very little understanding of what the flat Earth model might possibly be. That's all I can
What?
detect from this because
Well, I'm
as soon as you
asking you.
understand, as soon as you understand that we're on the base, and when we're looking up at stuff, and it's very freaking distant, but it's not necessarily that distant. So yeah, I don't know. I can't see how you're saying how our observations contradict that because that's exactly what our observations give.
I'm not
You
talking
know,
about mere observation where you're just looking up at the sky. I'm talking about everything we've studied with telescopes, the people who have
yeah.
gone to the moon, which you think is a hoax, the people who observe things from the International Space Station, which you conveniently also think is a hoax. Like if I'm including all observations that we made, we observe stuff that contradicts your view. But if we conveniently take all the observations which contradict everything you believe, we might just get your model. But there's a very important question we have to answer. Why should we throw out all those observations? For no other reason because it would make you feel
Well,
better?
the thing
I
is,
don't.
though we don't. I use those observations to come to the conclusions that I've come to. I can
You
look
will use
out.
observations of like photos from the International Space Station. You use
I
those.
can look out my personal window. I can't go to the space station and look out through their window. Okay. I'm going to live in my view of the world. And I can look out my window and I can look out and see the Southern Cross every night of the year in the exact same direction. And in the heliocentric model, the Earth is supposed to be on the other side of the sun 6 months later, looking 180 degrees, the opposite direction, and should see entirely different stars, unless you're
Well, if you
saying
want to,
that every single star of the galaxy is heliocentric and obeying the same laws that just those handful of planets are supposed to be doing. The entire galaxy is not going around the sun, and yet from our perspective and our observations, it has to be for the heliocentric model to work. And you've got
well,
nothing.
well, you haven't answered my question about if you want to talk about constellations. You still haven't answered my question once about how is it possible that two people looking south can on different points of the Earth can see the exact same constellations as well. Like we didn't get that
I
yet,
can
so I
answer
guess I'm
that.
curious as to, okay,
You've
go
never
for it,
given me the opportunity to answer that one, but that's
I
quite
apologize.
simple.
Well, let's bring it to that
It's
then. Let's
very
go.
easy because we have time zones. So when it's nighttime here, it's daytime there. And when we have the time zones. So because the whole sky
You
clock
didn't answer the
is
question.
rotating around above us, then that is why we can see the same constellations at our individual nighttime, which could be hours and hours apart, just as we see
You
the
didn't
sun at different hours apart.
you didn't really answer the question. So if it's nighttime,
It is.
like because in two different time zones, it could still be nighttime, right? Two different time zones, it could still have nighttime. So when they both look south, they should both still be able to see the stars at night. They should be able to see different constellations. They see the same constellations. What's the go with that?
Yeah, but they're looking at them in a different direction. If that's the basic map of the Earth, divide that into quarters. You've
Right. So I think I could see like a smushed version of
you've basically got
South
then
America there, right?
divide them into thirds. They're your
On
time
that map
zones.
there, if on that map there, right, I see a smushed
I'm
version
not even getting a good view of this screen.
of uh, South America right there. If you look at a fella on the coast of Chile, my geography is horrible. I criticize Americans for this, but my geography is horrible. So you got Chile, and then you
Down
got
there,
that,
right now.
yeah, right there, and then you got a guy all the way up in that little corner on the other side of the country. Um, looks like Brazil, the coast of Brazil. Maybe
Right, yeah.
I'm terrible with. Yeah. So all right. So those two would be in different time zones. Would you agree?
Yeah, by a couple of hours.
Yeah. Well, they'd still be in different time zones. And if you look at the angles, if they all were to look directly south, they would be looking in two different directions, basically, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
They should be able to see
Yeah.
two different stars, and that they don't. They see the same constellations.
Well, see, that's the advantage of height. When something is high, you can see it from further. And because the stars are actually high, they're not necessarily where you think that you're looking. Nothing is ever where you think things that you're looking. It's just unfortunately the way things are is every individual perspective is going to be
It's,
slightly different from another.
this is kind of what I mean. Like like you mentioned before, I can just go outside and look. I can go out my window and look. Well, when people
Yeah.
do exactly that with the constellations, they
Yeah.
observe the same constellations. The globe
Yeah.
Earth model is the only way to make sense of that, and that's the only way to make sense of their observations. But those
Well, why is the
observations don't
globe Earth? No,
count.
but the globe Earth is already pre-presumed. It's a pre-presumed bias. If
You're
you
pre-presuming
pre-presume
the
that, then
flat
that's
Earth
what you
one.
think you're going to see. For most of my life, when I went and watched the sunset, I presumed I was living on a spinning ball and I'm spinning, rotating towards the east in such a way that it makes the sun appear to set in the west. But over the recent decades, I've taken that many videos where you can absolutely see without a shadow of a doubt, because shadow is the doubt, is that the further the sun gets away from us, there's no shadow cast up from the horizon onto the sky behind me in the east where you should expect it, because the earth is spinning faster than the speed of sound. When the sun sets, man, that shadow, like any other shadow of any physical object, should cast a physical hard shadow straight across the sky and go
Shadows aren't
boom,
hard.
speed of
No,
sound.
shadows aren't
And
hard.
we never see
You,
it. We see a long lingering twilight because all that's happening is the sun is just receding further and further away above the flat earth.
you just said physical hard shadows. I'm gonna have to unpack that one. What are shadows physical and hard under the flat Earth
Well,
model?
okay. If you step out
Like,
into
what
the
do you mean?
hard sunlight and you have a shadow, that's what I call a physical, sharp shadow. Hard. That's a physical shadow. You will get that by any time you are directly blocking sunlight. You will get a visible, non-physical Peter Pan
Yeah,
type shadow.
non-physical. That's what I was worried about. Like, because there's no reason for the shadow to project onto the sky, as you're saying. Is that am I understanding that correctly?
No, well, my argument is it should be projecting onto the sky if the sun is going beneath the horizon.
But shadows
If
aren't
the
physical.
horizon, hey,
Shadows aren't physical. I mean,
no,
they need
but
to be projected onto something physical.
they will
They need
be
to be projected
cast
onto
by something physical onto
something physical.
something visible,
Physical. Physical.
visible, like the atmosphere. Well, the atmosphere is arguably physical.
Well, yeah, obviously, yeah, the atmosphere is physical, but obviously it is enough space between the particles that it lets light through. That would even have to be the case under your model, because otherwise we wouldn't get sunlight. It would just not be able to pass through the atmosphere,
Yeah,
right?
but well, you've heard about the Venus belt, whatever they call that, the shadow of Venus belt. um,
I'm not sure what the relevance is here. And anyway, I
what's that?
what we've heard so far in this discussion is that you've made a lot of claims that it is possible to make sense of the data through a flat Earth model. And that is
Mm-hmm.
technically true, because when it comes to the flat Earth model is a theory. And you can change components of the theory at any point that you like. And to make any of the data work, you can make it like I gave the example. I understand it was a bit hyperbolic, but I did give the example of shadow demons controlling the shadows so they're at different lengths, right? We can come up with all sorts of theories that can make equal sense of the data. But the problem seems to be with the theory that, one, there is no positive reason to prefer the flat Earth model over the globe Earth model, And it also seems to be that the only way that the flat Earth model can make sense of the exact same sense data that the globe Earth model makes sense of is by incorporating extra elements. Not only do I have to believe that the flat Earth makes sense of all of the things in the way you say it is, but I also have to believe that all the scientists that have taken photos from the International Space Station, etc., they're all lying.
That's
And I
not
also
extra.
have
That's less. That's
no,
less.
that's
You keep
extra.
saying
That's
extra.
extra
No,
because
no, it's less. You're
you're
cutting out
demanding
the
that there's
bullshit.
necessarily a
Every time you
conspiracy
cut
behind it.
out bullshit, it's less. It's not extra.
We gotta give Iron Horse a chance to respond there. So go ahead, Iron Horse.
Okay, I apologize.
Yeah, yeah. You just keep making extra claims to say that. Yeah, yeah. That's yeah.
Well, if it's less than by that logic, wouldn't I be able to say I make less assumptions just by assuming you're lying? How do I know you're not like a government agent trying to convince the world that the Earth is flat? Debunk that conspiracy real quick.
You know,
I'm on to him.
I'm still held up on your last argument,
Yeah,
man.
maybe that is it. The flat Earth whole thing was just an astroturf little experiment, a social experiment to see what they can pull over on people. Can social media and stuff like that be used to manipulate the masses? Maybe what I could just see. I came up with a theory. You don't believe in it,
Hang on, I'm
but
looking at the wrong screen for sure.
that's why we need a little thing called evidence, positive reasons to believe in your theory.
All
I
right then.
still have
So yeah, so we've already determined that there's no positive evidence for motion of the Earth, which is one of the most fundamental aspects of it spinning on its axis to be hurtling around the sun. There's absolutely no positive evidence for that, and yet you still believe it. You still believe we're still hurtling through a vacuum of space, and yet there's no evidence to show that a positive pressure gradient atmosphere could exist within a vacuum. There's no evidence for that. I mean, what are you talking about, man?
So hang on, I also got a question. So like Jessica Watson, who circumnavigated the globe,
Oh, you've
she's
also
lying
got a
too, right?
question. Hang on.
Hang on.
Are you talking to
Because you said,
Jessica Watson or are you talking with me? Come on.
well, I'm asking what you would have to say to Jessica Watson, I guess. Like, or anybody who circumnavigated the globe. Like, how is that? Like, why does that happen? With the blood of my understand.
Mate, you can go around the block, and it doesn't mean at any stage we're walking upside down. You know, you can go around anything. And if we got the North Pole in the center, when we travel east or west, we are going around the North Pole. That's why our compasses always point towards it. It proves jack shit. And if you really look into it, you'll find that those Antarctic boat races actually take phenomenal distances between some of the southern legs of the journey, which don't add up to the globe whatsoever. But obviously, you have to look into this sort of stuff. You know, it's not something I'm
No, but
prepared to
what I'm
bring
trying
in
to say
just
is that
cold into a debate.
for some reason a 16-year-old girl is also in on the conspiracy. Like, I just want to know why I'm supposed to believe that there's a conspiracy to lie about these things. What's the motivation?
How do you think she's involved in it?
I'm asking you
Well, I
because
said
she
she's
has to
not.
be. Oh,
She
she's not.
sailed a very, very great distance. You know, the Earth is big. She did it. She hated it. She nearly killed herself doing it, and she made a huge embarrassment of herself to the whole world doing it. But we sort of looked over that and said, "Well, congratulations, she did it, and it is what it is. It's a
It is what it is.
really,
Okay.
really long way, and she did it. So good on her."
So let me put it this way. So I've got all the globe earthers, right? I've got them on one side. And I've got all the flat earthers. I've got them on one side. Do you believe it's possible that either group could be lying, right?
I believe either group could be duped. I don't think they're lying deliberately.
Well, okay, let's say that somebody has to be duping one side or the other. Like I don't think I think obviously I don't think you're lying, by the way. I don't think you are a government agent. I was using that as an example, right? But like I do
No,
believe that somebody
obviously.
told you to believe in the flat earth and you believe it. I don't think you're lying, but one group of people could be lying about the flat earth, one people could be lying about the globe earth. You realize it would take me more people would have to be lying about the globe earth in order for this to work. But I could just as easily make that assumption about the flat earthers or the people who are talking to the flat earthers. And for that reason, you saying that, oh, it's confirmation bias, it's conspiracy, that argument can be made on both sides. So that is why I'm asking for this whole debate. Positive evidence, positive reasons, actual affirmations, proof, anything of the flat earth model. We have evidence that the globe Earth model is real, right? We have the whole constellation thing I mentioned. We have Aristophanes' findings. We have the fact people circumnavigated the globe. We have the fact that people, at the very least, claim to have gone up to the International Space Station, taken photos. We've had people send drones to planets you say is a disk. Like we've done all these things, but to you they're lying. Why can't I just turn around and say all the people who are saying all this flat Earth stuff are lying? What positive evidence? Anything? I'm desperate at this point. Give me something.
Well, yeah, I think you are desperate because you're trying to put words into my mouth. I've never said they're lying. I just don't think any of them have ever come back and said, "Oh, yeah, the Earth looks like a spinning ball, moving millions of times faster than the speed of sound through the vacuum of space." None of them have ever said it. You're just
None,
making it
none,
up. So you're putting words into my mouth I've never said. All I'm saying is nearly every observation we've ever made shows that the Earth is not moving. Every single aeroplane that flies up in the air, flies on the flat level, can go thousands of miles per hour in many cases. It never adjusts for any amount of curvature. So for you to say that I'm lying about the things that we've actually observed means you're actually lying because I've never said such a thing and I wouldn't believe such a thing because everything proves the Earth is flat.
So,
Everything.
by the way, it wasn't so much that I was saying that you're lying. I was saying that you were saying that the people who've gone to the International Space Station are lying. Is that
Well, they
true?
are, yeah, but some of them tell the truth. You've got that one awesome dude. He went up there in the studio. He slid a playing card into his pocket, and when he got out there, he's holding up a hammer. You know, the alternate reality hammer, and he's got his playing card. And he goes, and sometimes you just might find a pocket of gravity. So he lets the hammer go, and the hammer just floats, and he lets the card go, and the card just drops because that was the only real thing in the image, the card. He brought that up there to demonstrate to us how much they align. And you don't see that guy on all their ISS movies
Okay,
so much
what's
anymore
his
because,
name?
you know, they dropped that guy. I'd be lucky if he's still alive.
Well, did you know his name?
No, no. Well, there's
Oh,
so much
so I
evidence
can't.
out there that I can't remember
I,
every tiny little tidbit of everything I see, but I do remember quite clearly that. And I could probably find you a meme that I have somewhere stored on my phone, which shows him holding the card and the hammer. And we've all seen the live footage of it, the video of it as well. So, no, I don't personally know his name. Sorry.
okay, well, but I guess for now, then, until I see that, I can't really base a flat Earth belief on you saying that you've seen a guy with a hammer
But
with a
you
card.
can accept that I'm credible enough that I'm telling the truth about what I'm talking about, right?
I believe you believe you're telling. I think that you're telling the truth that you've seen the video.
Thank you.
I'm more worried about the credibility of the guy you're quoting more than you. I'm not trying to throw any distrust towards your way, but like I guess like because it's going to require me believing that guy is more trustworthy than like for example Andrew Fustel. I'm just googling his name here. Ricky Arnold. All these different astronauts that have gone up there to the International Space Station said, "Yep, look at that. The Earth's round. I see it
Doing
rotating,
this sort of
rotate around
stuff
it."
in front of the camera and thinking they're placing things on a shelf. You know, I mean, come on. It's yeah, it's pathetically sad. And
Is my
honestly, if
hand
you really
movements
believe that
sad?
they're on
Like
an
it's
international space station, why the heck don't they have like the greatest cameras, high def, 24/7, filming down on Earth, filming up to the moon, filming the whole works? You get nothing. If you try and actually search this stuff and people try and say, oh, we've got live feed all the time, you go and watch the live feed, it barely goes for about 18 minutes before it hits repeat and replay, and it's just constant crap. There's nothing out there, man. There's nothing out there. And we should be at
so
the peak of this stuff right now. We should be seeing this stuff all the time. We'd be showing on the news. We'd be raving about, look how good this footage is of the Earth live 24/7 from space. There's none of
well,
it.
it's kind of the same thing over and over again because if you're orbiting it, it's and yes, you can find it. There's people who've gone up there taking photos, taking videos. Um, I'm looking at them right now. I've gone on Google
Is
Images.
a
Bam, a photo of the Earth. Guy in the International Space
Yeah.
Station. Right
How
here.
long does it go for? 18 minutes, I guarantee.
No, it's a photo. It doesn't go for any length, but okay. It doesn't matter
It's not
because like
live,
that's the
man.
thing.
It's not
If
live.
if
You're looking
if
at
you
bullshit.
if well, that's the thing. Any photos we have, they're fake. Any videos we have, they're fake. I don't like if you want to say that like the footage is like on a you say it's on repeat on a loop.
Yeah. That's what you
What are
just
they
looked up.
filming? What are they filming? What are they
They're
filming when
filming
they're
from like
looping
a
it?
U-2 spy plane or something. They're up at 90,000 feet, the absolute maximum a plane can reach and cruise at.
Okay. They're still filming the Earth. All right. Anyway.
Yeah, yeah. What
Uh,
else are
that,
you going to film?
well, well, like that's the thing. Like like I so far, all you've said is that all the observations which disprove you, they're wrong for reasons. You haven't even really provided me too many observations that prove your argument, only that they can maybe work within your argument,
Well, okay.
if you squint at it. And you can see how the argument for the flat Earth position is incredibly weak
If
compared
you're
to
going to
the
keep
globe Earth one.
straw manning my argument, which you are doing, you keep straw manning my argument. What exactly is your argument? I can tell you what
My
your argument is, and that
argument,
is that the Earth is spinning 1.35 times the speed of sound, hurtling around the sun at 65 times hang on, 87.6 times the speed of sound, as the sun itself is hurtling through the galaxy at roughly 670 times the speed of sound. That's me strawmanning your argument that you believe that we are doing at all times while we just sit here and look as though the Earth is appearing perfectly stationary and still. So you just say, I'll just go with the status quo level that says the Earth is stationary and still because it appears to
so
be
you
that way.
saying
And yet
going the
your
status quo
argument
level,
says
that's the
we are
presupposition.
going
That's you
supersonic,
making a
super
presupposition. That's your
ridiculous speed.
presupposition. It doesn't matter how
It's
fast
not a
it goes. Objects.
presupposition. It's a
Well, you just said
presupposition.
status quo. What's the status
No,
quo then? What's the status quo you're appealing to? That's not an argument.
All right, you gotta let him
the
respond there.
status quo
Yeah.
is we're standing still. Status quo
He's
is that we're
dancing
standing
still.
still, man. So, sorry,
Well,
I didn't
even
hear
though
you.
it's not, we've disproven it and we've provided evidence that it's wrong. So the status quo is now that we've provided evidence that it's wrong. The status quo now is that we're on a globe. You've got to provide. Like I've repeated myself quite a lot. You've got to provide the evidence, and the evidence so far is you laughing. Like what do we got here? I'm coming up
How
empty.
is the
I was
status
excited
quo?
today. I was excited to become a flat earther. I was like, oh man, I can't wait for the Earth to be flat. I can't wait to hear all the awesome evidence. And I'm disappointed. I got nothing here. I got
I
nothing.
hate to feel you. Hate to feel your disappointment, mate. But how is the status quo that we are on a ball spinning faster than the speed of sound?
Or are you
How is
familiar
that
with what
status
the
quo?
scientific, or are you familiar with what the scientific community is?
I don't give a fuck what crazy people believe. I just want
Well,
to
neither
know
do I.
what
That's why I
you
don't believe you,
actually
mate. I don't.
think, what you observe, what you are feeling right here, right now. Are you feeling like you are spinning faster than the speed of sound on a spinning space ball hurtling through a vacuum of space? Yes
Honestly,
or no?
I'm so dumbstruck by these arguments that yes, I do feel like that. I feel my head is spinning right now, my friend. My head is
Right.
absolutely spinning with these
Right, yeah.
arguments.
Well, no
I've
wonder.
well,
No wonder you have such
I don't
beliefs
use my
because
feelings to try to describe the cosmos. I don't learn what is true about the universe because of what I feel. That's not how that works. You go out there and you
so how
discover
do
it,
you learn
and then
about
you
it?
make rash.
So what's
Use
your go-to method for how you learn about the universe apart from how you feel? What else is there?
using rational arguments and supported by empirical evidence. Using logic,
Empirical evidence. Okay, so
empirical
empirical
evidence,
evidence of the Earth moving. Let's go.
empirical evidence of the Earth moving.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I obviously haven't gone out there with a stick, but the evidence that we do have, well, you haven't either. You said that it was fundamentally impossible, so you
I'm
don't
a
have any
stick all the
empirical.
time. I'm a fucking wizard, man. What are you talking about?
Fair enough. Um, but like obviously it is true. Not a single one of us has gone into outer space and like seen it like that. So that's the observations we're talking about. The observations we are talking about, like for example, the ones I brought up, being able to see the same constellations at 2 points of the Earth. Aristophanes' example, the photos and videos from the International Space Station, etc., etc. I could go on. Those are the observations we're making, right? Those are the things we're doing, and each and every single one of them, you just don't like. You just don't like
No,
those
I've already
arguments.
explained to you. I've already explained to you how the Eratosthenes experiment could just as easily prove that Just
with
if I
extra
lined up a
assumptions.
bunch of beer bottles across my table and shined a light onto them, I could show different angles of shadow, and I could do the mathematics to show exactly how spherical my table is. It doesn't prove it is spherical. It just proves that I'm using confirmation bias to prove what I want to believe, as opposed to the reality. My table is actually flat.
Okay, so then by your own admission, if you're saying that the evidence that Aristophanes had could just as easily work for a flat Earth model, doesn't that mean it goes back the other way around, that the flat Earth model can't explain anything better than the globe Earth model?
No, it means that we got the North Pole
Well,
in
then
the center.
provide me the
We've got the
reason that the
North
flat Earth
Pole in the
model.
center. We've got the equator, and the sun moves around above the equator like the hour hand of a 24-hour clock.
I'm afraid to
Just
ask if
let
you
it
think that
sink in. It
maybe.
might take a minute, but that's how it works. That's our
Well,
model. That's our
yeah,
model.
I'm
That's
gonna
what
have
we've
to let
always
this sink
said.
in. All right.
The
Oh
Earth
man,
is flat.
I'm
The equator is a 25,000-mile circumference around the North Pole, and the sun goes around above that. And as it gets higher, it appears to make a slightly smaller circle. And then when it gets lower, it appears to make a slightly bigger circle. But in the middle of the equinoxes, and it goes exactly around the equator. And that's our model.
so in other words, like you've still provided nothing. Like I'm asking you, what about the flat Earth model provides more positive evidence? All you've said so far is that Aristophanes' experiments
Yeah.
could just as easily work under the flat Earth model, which means that the reverse must necessarily be true, that they could work for the globe Earth model, even if you're right, which you're not
Okay.
right, you're wrong about that. Because if you have a flat surface, right? But you can laugh all
All
you
right.
like, but like at the end of the day, I'm still waiting to like we've been debating for
I
how
am
long now? Like
laughing
nearly
because
two
it has
hours.
actually been proven.
By
We've
what
actually done
evidence?
it. We've
We've been going for
we
2 hours, my friend. We've been
all
going for
right.
2 hours. I've
So
not heard a
we've
single positive.
demonstrated if you look at the azimuthal equidistant map and you look at the time zones and then you work it all out, they've got a line down through the dateline terminator where they've actually jumped in about 3.5 extra hours, because in the northern hemisphere the sun does appear to go through a smaller circle, because that's how you're seeing it as you're looking up through the firmament and seeing the sun coming towards you. This is how we see everything. We're not actually seeing the actual sun. We're just seeing how it presents itself to us through a firmament. And as it does that,
This is
it,
literally the same
it
shadow. This is the shadow demon argument. This is literally the same argument that you have some sort
yeah,
of
well,
entity or thing which
but
projects
but
what
but
we're
this
observing.
one is actually, we can evidence. We can take pictures. We can take
Still waiting
time
for it.
lapse photography of the sun doing a 24-hour loop around the Arctic Circle. We've never
And
seen
how
it
do
do
I?
it around the Antarctic, but we're sticking with the Arctic for the moment, because that is where we're looking at it happening,
Yeah,
and
because the Earth
it
is on a slight tilt.
matches
That's
all
why
our
it's on a slight
observations.
tilt. It's on a slight tilt. The Earth is tilted like that. It's not
No,
purely
no,
vertical. It's
no,
tilted
no,
so
no,
that
no,
you
no,
have that,
no, no, no. What happens is you got a flat firmament above it, and it's
or a
not that
tilted
high.
tilted
It's only
sphere.
70 miles.
Sphere.
And so the distance of the sun passing through the firmament gives you the appearance of being at an angle. So it looks further away.
Okay, what
It's
if there? Okay, even okay. I'm going to try and be nice here because I am getting a bit frustrated. I will admit. Let's try and I'm going to throw you a bone on this one. Let's say that what you just said is somehow evidence for a flat Earth. How could I not just say, well, there's an extra firmament above that? See, the Earth has two firmaments, and it makes it look like these observations you're seeing are giving you this answer, but really, Earth is a globe with two firmaments that's going around the sun. What about that theory actually helps you? Like I don't. You can
well,
keep
it
adding
neither hurts.
firmaments. We'll,
It,
we'll, we'll
it
just keep adding
neither hurts
firmaments.
nor helps. But
How many
I just look
how
at
many
pure
firmaments?
basic physics. Yeah, when I look at pure basic physics of, say, a lake that gets a frozen surface on it, I look at it and it's only got one layer of ice above it. So yeah, it might be nice to hypothesize that there's two layers of ice above it. I don't really see why or how that could happen. But if you want to believe in that, well, if it matches what you experience, go ahead and believe it. But it doesn't match
How,
my experience. What I see is that all the celestial lights that we see appear into our sheet of ice, the one and only, and that's why they're all in focus when we look at them from down below at the same height, about 70 miles. That's why they all appear to be at the same level to me. That's just how I see it.
So the firmament's a sheet of ice now. I'm you've lost me here, man. Like, why a sheet of ice?
Why not? What like
Why not?
every
Oh, well, I reckon it's a sheet
every
of fire, dude. I reckon it's all fire and like
okay,
maybe
so
even like
of
lasers.
course
It's made
you've
of Jewish
observed
space
so
lasers.
much into what the firmament is, but because some of us
Well, I
have.
mean, fire rises, cold stuff sinks, so there you go. Fire, it's all fire. It's all made of fire.
But fire only
I've
goes
observed
this
these
high,
things.
doesn't it? And then it's cold up here. You can hold your
Well,
hand above a
I've
flame and
seen
not get burnt.
well, okay, but when there's an orange sunset, that kind of vaguely looks like fire. So there you go. It's up there. I've seen fire go up there. That's fire. It's made of
Your
fire.
logic outstands
Orange sunsets.
outstands me. All I'm saying is it
I,
gets colder
I
and
feel the
colder
same
as
way
we go
about
up
you, my
higher.
friend. I
It gets colder and colder as we go
I
up
feel the
higher,
same way.
and every biblical description of the firmament describes it either as
So
beaten
you are
flat
going to
like
you
metal.
are going to bring out the Bible. Well, let me go
I'm
ahead and
just
stop you
hang
right
on,
there,
let me
my
do it then.
friend.
Let me do it. So it
Okay, go
describes
for
it
it.
as beaten flat like metal or bronze. It's as molten glass, and it's spread out like a tarpaulin. Those are the three descriptions that you can find most common about the firmament, and each and every single one of those could easily be interpreted as like ice for somebody who has never experienced ice before. So that's just where I go. Here's
So
the
if
biblical experience from.
all right, well, if you're going for the Bible, can you provide the Bible verses, please? Because I got me at a loss because when I'm thinking firmament, I'm thinking about all the scholars who translate like what you're calling firmament is it's called the waters, but they could also mean expanse, right? Because obviously, like when you call like a sea, like an open expanse, for example, doesn't necessarily translate to waters because terms aren't univocal like that. Terms don't only mean one thing. But
Well,
that's
as I
first
said,
thing.
yeah,
Second
I'm
of
not
all,
using the Bible as
well,
my
second of all,
authority.
I
I'm
could
just saying that they are the
well, all right.
basic understandings from it.
Well, let me go ahead and quote the Bible
Okay.
then. In Genesis chapter 1, verse 9, it says, "And they gathered all water under the heavens all into one place." So when you're gathering all the waters into one place, what does that do? When you're gathering something else from one place, is that does that maybe look like a ball? That maybe look like a
Sounds like a
ball
pool. A pool.
because
I would use pool. Pool.
why a pool? Because if you're gathering something all to one place, because if you just have
Well,
a
because if
pool
I
of
had a
water gathered,
pool of
like
water, the water would be gathered into the pool, but I wouldn't imagine it to be a sphere. Like that's just insanity. You would
yeah,
think
but
of water
it's
going like
specifically so
that.
that dry land can appear. So like, how do you like you can't you're only
So the
making vague
edges of the pool
generalizations.
would be the dry land. Don't know.
But even on
Well,
your own model, it's supposed to be an Arctic ice sheet. It's supposed to just be more ice. You're throwing ice in there. Like how would that be
I've
dry
never,
land?
I've never seen a model surrounded by ice.
I'm looking at your model right now behind you. That looks like a white little rim around the whole world. Is
That's
that
just
supposed to
as
be
the
ice or is that
Antarctic ice lands and ice walls, but yeah,
okay?
I
So that
would
looks like
still
ice
think
to me.
there's far
That
more
looks like
beyond
ice to
that.
me.
I don't think that we're sitting in a void of space like a
Well,
floating
if
flat
then you're
Earth.
disagreeing with the Bible because the Book of Job says the world hangs on nothing. So there you go. You're already wrong.
Well, okay. Well, I disagree with Job. Fine, that's
All
fine.
right. Well, there you
I've
go.
got
Then
no
don't
problem
quote
with
the
that.
Bible. It's all well and good.
Hey, hey, hey,
I'm
hey,
not going to
hey,
force you to be a Christian, but just don't try to quote the
hey. What
Bible.
was everything else I said from the Book of Job? Was it?
What?
Was
No.
everything else that I said about the term rakia from the original Hebrew word for firmament, was that from the Book of Job? Why,
No, I
why are
don't
you
think it was.
discrediting everything I said based
I
on
was
one
looking it through
little
I was
unrelated
looking
quote?
through the
That's
Book
just
of Job the
crazy,
other
man.
night because there's people who try to go to the Book of Job, try to talk about like the
Yeah,
foundations of
yeah,
the
yeah, but
earth and all this.
mate. You're here with me here and now, and I'm not talking about the Book of Job. Okay, so try and keep on track.
You just said you quoted from the Book of Job. I am keeping on track. You said
No,
you
I
did not. What
didn't.
I
No,
just
I
quote.
didn't.
Okay,
I said
let's
you
stop
just
this.
did.
All right, we'll give you a
Fuck's
chance
sake.
to clarify there, Iron Horse, where you were coming from there.
Never said
Where
for a
where
second that he was quoting from that I was quoting from a Book of Job. I don't quote from the
where,
Bible
where were you quoting from?
whatsoever. I use the
Where were you quoting
term
from?
rakia in the most understood interpretations of the word for which I use it, which is, beaten flat like metal, stretched out like a tarpaulin, and as molten glass. And each and every one of those, to me, represents what I would expect of a great sheet of ice for somebody who'd never seen ice before on a frozen lake. That's all I've ever said. I've never
The
even
word
used the
the word
Bible,
that's used in
except from
Genesis,
the.
which actually does describe the cosmology, is the word tehom, not rakia, whatever you quoted. It's the word tehom. That means the deep. It could mean expanse. And also that's another thing
Okay, well,
too.
that's
Words aren't
another word
univocal.
altogether.
What what words? Yeah, exactly. It's another word
Why am I
altogether. So I
talking
don't
about the
even know
deep when I'm talking about the sky, dude? What are you talking about?
because there's spaces. You ever heard of the term deep space? It's an expanse, my friend.
Well, yeah, I have heard that term. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So that's why we're talking about it.
Oh, but you never heard of the term inner space?
I mean, like inside as an inside an object. Yeah,
Well, I would assume that all of the existence of space that you imagine only exists within the 6 inches between your freaking ears. And that's probably
good
where
one. Good
all of
burn.
space exists with most people who believe in it.
Well, I also consider space to be anything like that is extended. For example, like objects have to have their space in terms of being extended, and in terms of your brain, I don't think it has any extension. So there you go.
Well, so it's all imaginary. Whatever you want to believe is true. So there
What?
you
All
go.
right. This might
I don't even know what we're talking about. Yeah, we might have to try and get this back on track.
well,
Are there any
maybe
All right.
questions in the
yeah.
open chat?
That's what I'm
Yeah.
thinking. It might be a good idea to get into our Q&A. So if you haven't already and you're in the live chat, hit the like button. I see there's 360 of you watching right now. I'd like to see 360 likes. I don't think that's ridiculous of me to ask. So let's get into the super chats. Keep your chats coming in, and we're going to try to stir the pot on our discussion here. Big thank you to Iron Horse and Aden for this civil exchange. We appreciate you guys coming out to the
Aden.
channel. Uh, so Orange Rob for $10 says, Dear Flat Earthers, please provide an example of a pressure differential in an enclosed container.
I believe I'd already explained that too. You can just have a gas bottle, and when you got LPG compressed into it, you'll have a liquid layer. And the fuller it is, the higher the liquid layer, the more it comes out. I would think that's a pretty basic example of a gas pressure within an enclosed container. Not that we say that's what air pressure is on the Earth, but that's one.
All right. So let's continue on there. Let me just turn off this notification off my phone because that's really distracting. All right. So Orange Rob says, $5. Why does flat Earth deserve priority over other alternate explanations to mainstream understanding of how the universe functions?
Definitely doesn't deserve any extra.
All right.
Agree.
We should just follow the same rules and laws as everybody else. Yeah.
Any thoughts over there, Aiden?
I think the spirit of the question is like what evidence provides greater preference to that, because that's kind of the same question I was asking. What evidence means that we should prefer the flat Earth model over, say, I don't know, cube Earth model, or I don't know, there's those flat Earth or there's models where it's like Earth is shaped as like a donut nugget or something, or like a donut Earth model. Like what? Why not prefer those ones?
Yeah, I think we should just base most of our observations on reality, what we see and experience, and all those
Intelligence agrees
hypothetical,
with me.
crazy ideas. They're great and all, but yeah, why?
All right. Next one coming in from Orange Rob again. Thank you so much, Orange Rob, for your super chats there. And hey, if you're in the live chat and you got questions for our speakers, get your super chats in, as they will have priority as we read them. Orange Rob asks again, a gas bottle uses a siphon tube, not a gradient.
No, that's not true. Actually, the siphon tube uses water pressure to siphon water. So gas isn't necessarily siphoning; it's just a valve. I wouldn't call that a siphon tube. I think he's stretching a bit there.
Any thoughts over there? Nope. All right, let's carry on.
Let's no, I'm good.
That's all good there. So let's carry on. Let me just scroll back on up through the super chats. big reminder to everybody once again to hit the like button. And if you didn't see all the debates that we posted from the debate con, definitely check those out shortly. We had a lot of fun last weekend. Let's see here. Manga Fan Dan says, if God created Earth, it'd have to be flat. Like a cook, you don't see globe-shaped pancakes. I think they're being a bit of a troll, but if you guys want to have fun with it, you can.
I reckon that's yours
God's
now.
Jewish, so he would have made the earth like a matzo ball. Matzo ball. He's a Jewish cook, all right?
Well,
Yeah,
let's
I
carry on.
always see I always see the bottom of the flat fry pan, draw everything towards the center and make it into a ball for sure. Yeah,
All right,
makes sense.
let's carry on.
Yeah, because God's a frying pan.
Absolutely, yeah, in outer space.
Excellent. All right, let's carry on. LJ, hey, you made it for the flat Earth debate. LJ is our honorary flat Earth live chatter, if you will. Always put in super chats about flat Earth debates. So when he makes it to a flat Earth debate, I'm always excited because I'm like, you made it to the right spot this time. So LJ asks, the globe religion requires early childhood brainwashing with globes, toys, and stories. At what size do all observable flat bodies of water start to curve?
What's he asking? Sorry,
So he's
what?
asking. So he started off by saying that the globe religion requires early childhood brainwashing with globe toys and stories. At what size do all observable flat bodies of water start to curve? So he's kind of baked the question a bit, but you can work with it as you
Yeah,
please.
that's what I mean. Like, if it's a flat body of water, you've defined it as not being curved. So, like, there you go.
Any thoughts over there, Iron
Is,
Horse?
is, is he trying to ask, like, when we look at the
Yeah,
ocean, do we see like boats go over the horizon? Because I've even seen that. Like, I've seen boats go over the ocean, and like you can see less of them as they go down over the horizon because the curve, the earth.
I'm pretty sure he just means 8 inches per mile squared.
All right, well, we can carry on
Okay.
from there. We'll try to keep stirring the pot on our conversation, guys, so keep the super chats coming in. Free Palestine says the mythical blue marble is in vacuum as
Ace.
per the CGI globe lovers, just pseudoscience globe
Yep.
diarrhea. NASA is lying, be smarter, test the globe. So it's more like a declaration, but we read it out. Let's see. So the big thing I think they're claiming, and it's one thing we didn't really get to talk about too much. I mean, we did a tiny bit when you brought up the live stream. There is this thing about the CGI. We didn't get to talk about that too much. So did you want to maybe take a moment for that, Iron Horse or Aiden, and uh, kind of entertain the idea for our super chatter there?
I missed it.
Yeah.
What was
So
that, Aiden?
let's say that like I think they were saying like NASA's lying, which I guess I would have to ask how and why. Let's even grant the idea for the sake of a discussion, Iron Horse. Let's say NASA is lying. I would like to know what their motivation would be because this seems like a massive hassle for not a whole lot of benefit, to be honest.
Well, like if I was going to get $80 million a day, I would sort of think of a pretty good reason to be motivated to think up something that would, look feasible. Yeah, just off the
But
top
who's
of my
paying that
head,
money and why? Who's
uh,
paying that money and
uh,
why?
the US taxpayers are paying it because that's what they are getting fleeced to be doing ever since. Yeah, well, we could go way back into
So really,
history and work out.
the government's paying people to NASA to lie. Why? What reason?
Well, have you ever heard about the whole idea of distracting people so that they don't really see what's going on in the world?
Yeah, like for example, we could be talking about the existential crisis of climate change, but we're debating whether or not there's even a globe Earth or a flat Earth.
Well,
I
there you
think
go. That's
you know
beautiful example. Beautiful example. So you've just called it an existential crisis, and whereas as far as I'm concerned, there is no freaking crisis. The Earth is so freaking big that there's not a damn thing that humanity could possibly ever do, no matter how fucked up we got, that could possibly affect the climate because it's never happened and never is going to happen. But it's really easy to convince people who are easily to be convinced in certain, mind control things that it is actually a thing. And if we believe that there's climate crisis, you have to change your behaviour. So you've just been mind controlled, which controls who you are, what you are.
The whole climate crisis thing has never been convenient for governments. Like, why would they make it up? There's protesters on the street protesting the government for not taking action. They're the ones pressuring the government. The government thinks they're a pain in the ass. If this is a lie from the government, then they're certainly regretting it because that's also not benefiting them.
So
I
you're
guess from your
believing those
perspective,
protesters on the streets with their placards, they're the correct ones, and the government's wrong.
they don't even have to be. If the government is lying, it's backfired, is what I'm saying. They have no way of benefiting from lying about any of this. The government likes getting, lobbied by bloody big capitalist corporations. And those big capitalist corporations obviously don't want to acknowledge the reality of the climate crisis. So, if the government does do anything about climate change, it hurts their relationship with the people who are in the pocket and all that.
Okay.
So
Step back. What climate crisis? What climate crisis?
the climate crisis we're experiencing right now, global
The
warming,
climate crisis
etc.
we're experiencing right now.
Yes, like
What climate
CO2.
crisis we're experiencing right now? There is no climate crisis we're experiencing right now. You're insane, dude. You're insane about every single little thing. You've been fooled by every little thing, and you believe in the latest propaganda that's been
I'll
spread out
believe
to
I've
you
been fooled when I
because
see
you
evidence that I've been fooled.
just follow what you're told.
I'd love to see evidence. I'd love to see evidence I've been fooled. It's all well because you can do that with anything. That's what I was saying. Oh, you just believe that because you've been told that.
Put a bunch of ice cubes in a glass of water and watch them defrost. Does the glass of water overflow? No, it doesn't. There's no climate crisis, dude. You've been messed
Do you
up.
realize that first of all, the climate crisis is going to primarily affect things like, for example, crop production. When the climate changes, plants obviously. What's this? What are we doing with this?
Plants. What are you talking about, man?
If the temperatures rise, that's going to affect our ability to grow
plants
food,
will grow
especially
faster.
in arid areas.
All right, this might be a good time to jump in here with the next super chat there, guys. But glad that we managed to flesh out a few other thoughts there. Let's see here. From LJ coming in again. Can anybody provide one observable proof for a globe?
Yeah, sure. So if you are on the southern hemisphere, look south, you're going to see the Southern Cross, for example. And if you're on a different geographical point on the Earth, you're also going to see the Southern Cross, right? Now, under a flat Earth model, you should be looking at two different constellations. You're not, because you're looking in the same direction because you're living on a globe. That's observable. You could go out, see the night sky, or if you want, go to a place in your if any of you happen to be living in Cyrene and then able to walk to Alexandria, you can get all you need is a stick and some mats, and you'll be able to have some observable proof. Or just look at the photos from the International Space Station,
So
assuming you're not just going to ad hoc.
In other words, nothing about looking at the Earth whatsoever. You've just looked at the sky, you've looked at shadows of sticks, but looking at the Earth itself and looking at bodies of water, how flat and level they are as far as the eye can see.
But they're not. I've seen boats go over the horizon. That's another observable thing. I've seen boats go over the horizon.
These other things.
Just 1 second there, Aden.
Sphericity of an Earth 70% covered in water.
All right, let's try to move on from there, guys. So I think we flushed that one out. LJ strikes again. Lake Pontchartrain.
Pontchartrain.
Thank you for that, Iron. Causeway proves it's not a globe. So, Iron, can you explain where he's coming from there? Because I'm not sure what that exactly means.
Did he say it proves it's not a globe?
Yeah, that's what he's saying here. So, can you maybe explain for the live audience what he's putting forward there? Because I'm not sure.
Sorry, I didn't quite hear the actual message.
So this one was from LJ. Let me just scroll back up here.
Yeah, sorry.
It's all good. Lake Pontchartrain Causeway proves it's not a globe.
Yeah. It does. For most people that have an understanding of how perspective actually works, you can just see it. It's like about 24 miles long, I believe, this Lake Pontchartrain. And the only reason that the globers use that as evidence is because they use the very end of where they can zoom in to the far distant um, poles and things disappearing over the converging bridge, ramping upwards at the same time. They say, oh, well, the ones ramping down, getting into the distance proves curvature. It's almost as ridiculous as proving that, saying that if I drew a letter O into the chat, that I could say that's curvature when it's actually a whole bunch of very small square pixels.
Okay.
And late Pontchartrain is basically the very proof of very flat and how convergence works.
Any thoughts over there, Aiden, or would you like to move on from there?
I'm gonna be honest, I'm not even sure what was even said. Like, so what was it? Lane, car, track,
Yeah.
Lake
with
Pontchartrain.
causeway,
Yeah.
lane, contra train,
Lake Pontchartrain.
Lake
Lake,
Pontchartrain.
one
Is that
word.
a Latin term?
Pontchartrain, another word. It's
Pontchartrain.
a place in Louisiana, I think, down in New
Oh,
Orleans.
okay.
24 miles an hour across flat and level water causeway. People can drive across it. It's got a couple of little dips for boats and stuff to get under.
I'm not American. I don't know where this place is. So I can't comment on
I was gonna say I
But,
didn't even
but,
know
but
how
it's
to
on
say it.
Earth,
So
mate. We're all Earthlings. Hey, yeah. It's time we moved into the future here. Oh, fuck. I'm not from France. I can't
let me Google
understand
it.
this.
it's all good. We can ask another one here. So this one coming in from I Killed Earl says, I want Iron Horse to explain why I've never seen the Southern Cross and why Orion is upside down for him, but right side up for me in the US.
Probably because you're on the other side of the equator and I'm on this side of the equator. So when we look up at stuff, we're looking at them from the other side. And the Southern Cross is only visible outside of the equator. That's sort of one of the ruling factors of how we decided where the equator was in the first place. I know it's weird, but hey, that's just the way it is.
All right, well, thank you for that. Did you find what you were looking for there, Aiden, and want to make any extra commentary on that, or did you want to move on from the Lake Punt char train?
Yeah, yeah. This just looks like a bridge. I'm just the bridge. I don't know what this proves. People build bridges. Okay,
24
bridge.
miles long.
Yeah, big bridge. Okay,
Mm.
bridge.
You know, there's one 100 miles long in China.
It could be 1,000 miles long for all I care. It doesn't prove anything about whether it's curved or like you haven't
Well,
given the.
it does, because your globe has to mathematically conform to certain principles that it doesn't, that we see in observation. And if it
Okay,
doesn't
so let
conform
me.
to it, then that makes it flat.
So hang on. You didn't explain how it doesn't conform to it though. So for example, if I'm standing at one end of the, you said 100 miles.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Am I able to see the like? Does it go over the horizon? The distance? Can't remember what the
What do you
distance
mean?
is to the
The
horizon.
picture? I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Oh, it doesn't matter. Just I don't know.
All right.
I'm still struggling to like they just build a bridge
If
and
you're
this
seeing
proves
100
flat.
miles
I
into
don't.
the distance, mate, if you're seeing 100
Yeah.
miles in the distance, there must be more than a mile of curvature drop to conform to the global Earth that most people believe in.
All right.
That's all.
We'll move on from there. Free Palestine says, "Are you enjoying your wonderful globortion?" with a heart emoji. So not too much to comment on there. Thinking Monkey says, when you're at cruising speed in a plane, you don't feel the sensation of traveling at 580 miles per hour. So why would we notice the speed of Earth? Thanks for your first super chat there, Thinking Monkey. So, yeah, when we're traveling on a plane, why don't we feel the sensation of traveling at 580 miles per hour? I think that's pointed at you there, Iron Horse.
Okay, well, I would say the reason we don't feel it is because we're within an enclosed capsule and it's pressurized. We've got walls, we've got nose, we've got wings on the side. I would say if we decided to go and sit out onto the wing to pour our cup of tea, we might find a different story.
Okay. Next one coming in from Megan Marie says, even if the Earth was flat, what would there be to gain from hiding the shape? There is so much evidence it's a globe. Look at the Pontchartrain bridges. So somebody brought up these bridges again as a reason against it, and
Yeah,
somebody brought up a reason for it. So we've heard two different
yeah.
stories now. So this is getting interesting. I'm starting to think this bridge might be the crux of this whole conversation. Thanks for your super chat,
Yeah.
Megan Marie. So even if the Earth was flat, what would there be to gain from hiding its shape?
What do you reckon? Still man that Aden?
I don't know. Maybe I'm at a loss because that's what I wanted to know. I wanted to know. I'm at a loss to know why anyone would lie about the Earth being round or flat. Like NASA could have just solved this whole thing. Just said, "Oh yeah, Earth's flat," and what would be the issue with like I don't NASA wouldn't. I don't get why they would do this. I'm still wanting to know.
All right, but yeah, all right. Well, I would say then why would be the fact that let's assume that we're useful workers for people who assume that they have some sort of ownership over us. So we'll just say we're slaves. Let's just assume it. Not saying we are, not saying we are. Just saying, if we gave the slaves the idea that there would be better working conditions outside of the compound within which we live, then there's a potential that some of our slaves might want to escape. And if we find too many of our slaves escaping, we might try and do something and try and brainwash them into thinking, no, it's not a good idea. This is all there is. This is all we got. And the Antarctic ice wall is the limits to it. And so this is what we're currently confounded to, because potentially there might be better plantations to work on the other side of the fence.
Any thoughts over
And
there,
yet
Aiden?
the Catholic Church, which is I was just going to say, the Catholic Church is one of the most oppressive institutions ever conceived of by humanity.
Mm.
All taught that the Earth was flat, basically. So
All right.
I don't see why that follows.
All right. We can move on from there. Megan Marie strikes again here. Let's see. Oh, sorry, that's the same one. But yeah, thanks for your chat, Megan Marie. LJ coming in again. Aiden, prove that rockets actually make it to quote unquote space.
I don't have one in my backyard right now, so I could probably show you a video of them going up to space, but then you'd say that video is fake. And maybe even if I did have a rocket in my backyard, if I was a billionaire and had a rocket in my backyard and got in it on this live stream, went up there, you'd say this is all a government conspiracy. There's nothing I could show you because you cannot be shown anything because you will not pay attention to evidence.
All right.
The moment you start paying attention to the evidence, I'll show you the evidence.
All right. Well, thank you there, Aiden. And next one coming in. Free Palestine says it's a horizontal horizon, not a curved horizon. Not a curved curvizon. I might. I messed up your pun. I'm sorry. Let's carry on, guys. Bite Me XD says, if the Earth was flat, wouldn't major companies who are hell bent on maximizing profits reveal that and use it to their benefit, or are they pissing away billions and you know more than all of them?
That one went right over my head.
So I'll just
Well, okay, so
go ahead.
I'll try and like steelman the point. So let's say that there was more land beyond the ice sheet. I would imagine maybe even more oil fields, more resources to exploit. Companies would be making a killing. We're all frozen for me.
Oh yeah, your feed
Oh
froze
boy.
for a second there.
Uh, uh,
You're back.
oh, are we? I'm back. Okay, awesome.
You are.
So as I was saying, if there was all this land beyond the ice walls, like Game of Thrones or something, then all the companies would be able to go out there and exploit the resources beyond the walls, right? There would be land to cultivate. There would probably be oil fields, conceptually. There would be so much more resources for the corporations to be able to harvest, and they're giving all that up for what reason? That would be a
Well, that assumes that it's something of value to us. Yeah. What if it's absolutely of no value to us? I mean, technically, when you think about it, gold, uh, looks pretty, but it's of no value. It's just a thing that we've determined we'll set a standard of wealth towards of a piece of nothing. It's just, it's a metal, a mineral,
Conductive
and we've
electricity.
determined our entire fucking economy on the backbone of nothing.
All right. Let's try to move on. I guess I think we've gotten all our points across there for that one. Thanks for your super chat, Bite Me XD. LJ says Aden hasn't provided one proof for his globe religion. I think you've already asked this question, LJ, but if you want to take like a couple seconds to, he's saying that believing in the globe is a religion. So if you
LJ.
want to maybe take a moment and talk about that, you can go ahead, Aden.
Well, praise be to the globe. Let me proselytize to you, my children. The holy globe, you see, has many gifts to offer its disciples, such as when you are on a certain point geographically on the earth, and you look south, you will probably see the Southern Cross. If you're at a different point, you will see the same Southern Cross because of the curvature of the earth. Also, our holy mother globe has blessed us with so much technology that is possible due to the globe of the earth, such as the International Space Stations being a thing, all the satellites, which allow us to have global positioning systems and all these different technologies. This is the fruits of the holy globe, okay? And I would ask you to repent of your flat earth sins and please join our globe religion. Thank you.
All right, that was fun. Let's carry on. Oh, thank you for that. And Iron Horse, like I see you over there. You guys are both characters. This has been a joy to host you
No,
guys.
I didn't hear a thing. I was just concentrating on something else.
Sure, you were. All right, so Free Palestine says all space agencies are just taking your money. Rockets cannot get high enough to show the mythical blue marble. Just CGI. Earth is seriously flat. It's another declaration, and you're kind of going down on the CGI, but we do appreciate you, Free Palestine. We're going to try to get
I
some.
agree. I reckon that's spot on. Like they haven't. That Yeah, every time we
Go ahead.
see something that is sent up as a rocket going into space, you will reach a certain point. Yeah, well, they'll show it and show it and show it, and then the next thing it just reverts to CGI. We've never actually seen a full footage of anything continuously going in space.
All right.
What about the people that actually had to launch? Are they lying, or is there CGI on the firmament? Maybe
They're watching the same CGI stuff. You see it. It just
at the launch
switches
site.
cameras, man. It switches cameras every time. Every time. Guarantee.
All right. Let's get to the next one here, guys. LJ, what would be a flat Earth debate if you didn't say even my dog knows all the moon landings were faked? What would we do without that? Ah, man, I appreciate you. LJ says again, would anybody get on a 17,500 mile per hour roller coaster?
I wouldn't. That's pretty damn fast. I
Yeah.
think I'd have to pick up my eyeballs in the back of my head. It's too fast.
Any thoughts over there, Aiden?
Are they saying that like the Earth's like moving too fast for us to like even I think even Iron Horse at one point said speed is relative, and objects in space move very fast. I don't see what the problem is when we're all in the gravitational field that we're in. You know, Iron Horse mentioned that we're in a plane. When you're in a plane, you're in a container, and so that you don't feel the speed. If you're on the wing, you might feel a bit different. Well, the atmosphere and the gravity is what's containing us. So I don't see what's. There you go. That's the
Hmm.
answer.
Very nice. Very nice.
All right. Orange Rob, would you get on a 1 mile per hour roller coaster? Sounds kind of boring. Any thoughts there? No. All right. I'm sorry, Orange Rob. Maybe we.
I'm sitting on one.
Everybody's sitting on their hands with that one. Kango 44. Modern day debate. I know a homeless guy on my street with a sandwich board. You silly Congo 44. I'm not finishing that one off. You're.
Yeah, come on, read it out. Read it.
He says, I know a homeless guy on my street with a sandwich board shouting nonsense. Uh, shall I give James his details? Oh, Congo, you're
Uh,
being a royal
Send that
comedian.
homeless guy $25, I reckon.
All right.
He
Uh,
sounds like he deserves it.
Matters Now, which is secretly Ozian, and I have to say that because some people are going to think it's secretly me.
Secretly.
Yes, they're going to say it's me because it says after show on my own and Ryan's channel, Open Stage. So there is an after show that me and Ozian will be doing. I'll give both of you fellas the StreamYard link, and you can join us in there and get some of the audience questions and stuff like that in person if you'd like. Well, in internet person. So just posted the link in the live chat, everybody, and we're going to move on from there. Alrighty. So back up to my
iPhone.
scroll. Gongo, you behave yourself. All right, I'm gonna read yours a little carefully now before I go through them. All right, so LJ says he feels like you've said a lot, Aden, but you still lost the debate. So he doesn't feel like you're saying too much. Did you want to make any commentary on that? Any clapbacks, or just carry on?
I didn't hear any of it. My internet cut out. Sorry.
That's okay. Maybe that's for the best because I don't think LJ's being very
Okay.
polite. So Congo
My
44.
Indian, my Indian cut out too.
uh, it's okay.
Internet.
So
Internet.
uh, yeah, I'm gonna skip over this one Congo. We're gonna try to get some that spur the conversation. But thanks for getting
I
your
would have liked
huzzah
to
in the
hear that
live.
one.
Oh, okay, fine. He says this is real bottom of the barrel stuff. Iron Horse has drunk the contents of the barrel. So I think he's saying you drank the Kool-Aid, but he's also kind of making another backhand. So you can let Congo know how you feel if you like their Iron Horse, but Congo.
There's plenty more barrels where that come from. Come on.
All right.
If I just put it into one bottle at a time, how am I doing a barrel? That's just ridiculous.
Just a barrel, right? Anyways, we're all bad. All right, so Joe Barian says, Iron Horse, what is the speed of sound in a vacuum?
Well, technically, there is no sound in a vacuum because everything requires a medium upon which to vibrate and be frequent upon. And so while the speed of sound in the atmosphere might be about 767 miles per hour, inside a vacuum, there's nothing for it to be frequent upon, so there is no speed of sound.
Alrighty, let's carry on there, guys. And as I was to scroll up again, matters now. Ozian says it was Richard Garriott on the ISS. He's alive. I think that's the person you were mentioning
I think that's a
earlier.
reference to Richard Garriott. I think I've heard of him.
Garriott with T.
Garriott.
Yeah. Next one
I'll
came
just
in
type him
from
into Google for it.
Esteban Ilabaka, and also reinforcing this idea. He says, Iron, the guy on the ISS was Richard Garriott. He's still alive. He enjoys magic tricks. That's what he did there. You haven't even looked into it. Sad. Any thoughts there, Iron Horse?
Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. I thought I was addressed to him.
Damn it, Iron Horse. All right, I'll read it again. You're
I'm
fine.
sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You're fine. I'm just picking. Iron Horse, the guy on the ISS was Richard Garriott. He's still alive.
Gary.
He
Oh, yeah.
enjoys magic tricks. That's what he did there. You
Yes.
haven't looked
Yeah,
into
yeah,
it.
yeah.
And then he said,
Look,
sad.
that is exactly how I would describe it if I was doing the cover story for the NASA people. That's fucking perfect. Thank you.
Question.
Absolutely.
So far with Richard Garriott, it's a doctor who's like a therapist or something. Nuclear science. What? I can't find the guy you guys are looking for. I don't know.
Oh, you don't need to. It's just a guy, like you would think that if people are going to be
I,
under the ISS, they're going to stay there for 3, 4, 6, maybe 8 months at a time or whatever. But they just interchange them in accordance to how it works with the
So, Durendal sends in a
how
membership
credible.
chat. We'll carry on there. Durendal Project sends in a membership chat and says, argument from personal incredulity. So you're saying that you're saying, I don't know, therefore X, and inserting what you don't know. So that's from Durendal Project. Do you want to explain to him how what you're doing is not an argument from personal incredulity?
who's it directed at? I might have cut out there a bit. Is it?
I'm not sure. I think both of you can maybe take a moment to explain if you both like, I mean, unless you want to say, hey, yeah, I make an argument from personal incredulity, but if you want to explain how that's not what you're doing, I'll give you each 30 seconds to explain.
I'll let you go, man. You're good. You got it.
Yeah, so I mean, I've looked at the experiments that were done, the whole. I've mentioned a couple of times the stars and looking south. Mentioned Aristophanes. I've looked at the photos on the International Space Station and the videos, um, all that sort of stuff. Like, I would have to be personally incredulous to that information if I was making
All right, Iron Horse.
that kind of
So,
argument.
yeah, no, that was awesome. That was beautiful. That's exactly what I would expect for an argument from incredulity. Perfect example. Thank you very much.
Alrighty, let's carry on. Question for Iron. So, from the UK, if I head west, I will reach the shore of Antarctica, correct? As it goes all around the outside. So, going west from the UK.
Yeah, technically, if you just start west, but you stay that direction, you will end up going south. Yep, that's how it works. If you decide to use your compass and stay west, you will go in a circle around the North Pole. But yeah, if you just started west, set your bearings, went south, absolutely, you will reach the South Pole.
Alrighty. Next one coming in from LJ asks Ryan, Google highest continent on Earth. I think it's Nova Scotia. That's where it's all legal, right? Let's have. No, I'm kidding. Let's just see here. Uh, Antarctica is the highest continent in the world with an average elevation of about 7,200 feet. 2,200 meters above sea level. This is due to the thick ice sheet that covers most of the continent. Asia, on the other hand, has the highest and lowest points on Earth, such as Mount Everest and the Dead Sea. So I'm just reading that directly off Google. You know, you can flame me in the comments for taking the first thing I read off Google, but that's what I got. So I'm not sure why you brought this up, LJ. Do you guys want to? Can you maybe explain Iron Horse what he may be getting at here?
Oh, I think LJ is spot on to it. He's just saying, yeah, Mount Everest, it's only like 5.5 miles, maybe whatever, 5.5, 5.4, I can't remember. But it's pretty high. It's a pretty big mountain, but that's just like the biggest thing we've got. But then when you go out towards the Antarctic Circle, yeah, it seems that some of these mountainous expanses are like 12 and a half miles or more high, which is way more than Everest. And yeah, this you would think there'd be would have more information on it if that was the case.
All right. Any thoughts over there, Aiden? Or you want to carry on?
Let's just carry on. I'm not sure what that was supposed to do.
Okay. All right. So yeah, if you're hanging out in the live chat, we've got about half of you that hit the like button. Let's keep it going, guys, and see if we can cap out. JD on YouTube, Aiden, the benefit of fooling the masses about the world we live in is for control and making people surrender to what science says. For example, 3 years ago. We can't talk about what happened
Well,
3 years ago, but I get what
yeah,
you're saying,
but they
JD.
could just as easily control people on a flat Earth. Like if you've got if you want to use science to control people, you would make up a different lie, like, oh, science demands that you all sacrifice your firstborn children to make fruit grow bigger. That would be the kind of lie science would use to control people, not the Earth is round. There's no control that benefits you, and that's proven by the fact that you're rebelling against science on this issue. So there seems they've swept up a little controversy that they didn't need to. So if that is true that they're doing this for control, it's certainly backfired.
Any thoughts over there, or did you want to carry on, Iron?
That seems a little bit strange. That would be the case. But yep, we'll carry on.
All right. Let's see here. Question for so yeah, that was last one was from LJ. JD on YouTube. Let's see. Swampy Pubes. Enjoyed the debate tonight, gentlemen. Great job as always, Ryan. Well, thank you. Thank you, Swampy Pubes, with your nasty, swampy
Great name, by the way.
name. Yeah, take a shower. Like they'll thank you for that. All right, Orange Rob. Again, please provide an example of a pressure gradient in an enclosed container, not a bottle that you release pressure from. Iron Horse, you are brainwashed, they say. Ooh, spicy.
Pressure gradient. I mean, holy fucking shit! Like, all right, I'll do one just for the fucking hell of it. And it's a Red Bull, you know. Oh, pressure gradient. All the gases are escaping. Holy shit. Oh, was that the question?
Uh, well, I think we can carry on from there before we release any other gases from our containers, guys. We'll behave ourselves over here.
Was
Kango
I
44.
don't, I don't understand.
No fart jokes, all right? No, I'm kidding. All right, so Iron Horse, the
Yeah.
water of the oceans is not flat. Tides are a thing, or are tides part of the conspiracy?
Who asked that one?
That was from Kango 44. They're on their best behavior this time.
Kango 44. Right. Well, tides what again?
Damn it, Iron Horse. Hold on 1 second there, buddy. All right, so question for Iron Horse. All right, the water of the oceans is not flat. Tides are a thing. Or are tides part of the conspiracy?
They're part of the conspiracy. Fucking shit. There's no doubt about it.
All right,
Definitely part of the conspiracy.
any thoughts over
You know
there,
what?
Aiden?
I'm coming clean on this one, guys. He's right. I paid the tides. They're on my payroll. I paid the tides. They're in on
See,
this. All right. Look to this. Follow the money, man. The tides are in on this.
Oh man, if we couldn't be having more fun if you paid us. All right, let's see here. Question for Iron Horse.
they're paying us, man.
Yeah, I know
Fucking
they're
100
literally putting in
a day.
super chats right now. Thanks, guys. That was part of the joke, right? We're all just I can't help but get at least one dad joke in per stream. So if you guys got any more super chats, keep them coming in. We're winding down on the end here. So Kango 44 question for Iron Horse. Why, during the construction of the London Underground, was the curvature of the Earth taken into account? Please try better than just denial.
I assume he's talking about the London Underground tunnel towards France, which is the channel. And the only curvature that they could possibly have taken into account is the fact that the compass is always going to be pointing to north, and they're that far north, close north, that the only curvature was that left-right curvature. It was never, ever once the up-down curvature that some sort of globe heads might assume, but you know.
Any thoughts over there, Aiden, or want to carry on?
Nah, I think we're good.
Okay. All right. Let's see here. LJ, $1.99. Flat would mean there's more undiscovered land. Duh. I hope I put the right
Yeah, exactly.
emphasis
So
on
they'd
that,
have
Jay.
a yeah, LJ. That would mean there's more incentive to go out and exploit and go get that undiscovered land. Why are the corporations not doing that? They would be if there was more land out there. I promise you. America would be the first. All those oil fields, man. They'd be swooping in on that. There'd be a whole. Oh man, we couldn't even call it the conflict in the Middle East because if there's more land out there, who knows if it's even in the middle and in the east anymore?
Well, what
There'd
about if
be
these people over the other side had like better technology that made your little airplanes dropping bombs look like pretty
and they
stupid?
then they'd come and take our land. They'd come and take our land, and
Why?
they haven't because that's what human beings do when they have better technology than other human
Well,
beings. They
well,
go
well, well,
take their
maybe
stuff
maybe what they've got is already
for
so far
control, for
superior they couldn't be
control,
fucked.
for control, for control. It's control,
You
man.
know, if I had something far superior to what you got, why would I try and take off what you got? You know, I'll
Well,
just stay where the superior place is and just leave you to your piece of shit fucking
ask
place
the
you got.
Roman Empire and ask literally every conqueror in all of human history that has ever taken anyone for anything. Like literally, all of
Because it
them.
had some sort of wealth value to them at the time.
Yeah, and the oil we have would probably be valuable to them. The
Probably.
electricity we produce,
Oh,
the
so
slave labor.
probably is your
The,
your strongest argument is probably.
oh my God. We're
Probably.
All right.
talking about a mythical race of human beings beyond the ice wall you imagine. Don't come
Exactly.
at me with the word
And you
probably.
think probably, well, oh, don't you think they might have something fucking far superior to anything we've got? And fuck your oil.
It was your hypothetical.
Oil.
It was your hypothetical.
All
You're the
right.
one who invented the people
all
beyond the
right, all
ice
right.
wall.
All
All
right,
right, all right. I'm good.
let's just wheel it all in. We're gonna take it down a few notches here for our last super chat. But guys, yeah, this has been a joy, and you guys are obviously having a lot of fun engaging with each other. And I see you guys in the
I
live
am.
chat. You're having a lot of fun. Let's see. So yeah, I'm gonna butcher your name. That's for sure. Since you called me Rain, you didn't spell my name right, so this is only fair.
Let it rain.
Zarksarin, why can't rockets reach the dome? We have the math to reach the moon. Flat Earth, show the math to reach the dome. And yep, Rain, you butchered my name. Rain.
I think that's a great question, and honestly, I don't have the answer to it. But what I would say, if I tried to discern the answer, is I would say that once a certain thing gets above a certain density of the medium, which is air, which gets less and less and less, as it gets higher and higher, is that it loses the thrustability that you might suppose to it, to the point where it has no thrustability, and so just as a big Disney curve, it comes back down to earth, and that's basically the end of the story. All she wrote.
All right, so what we'll do then, since that was our last super chat, unless any more come in last minute, I'm going to give you guys each 1 minute to give your closing thoughts. So, Aiden, over to you. 1 minute on the floor, closing thoughts on our discussion tonight and interacting with Iron Horse.
Alrighty, so tonight or today, depending on what time zone you're in, uh, we were discussing why we should believe in the flat Earth model. I asked Iron Horse for a positive reason why it has more evidence or anything better it could offer us than the globe Earth model, and every single time it came up short, apart from appealing to mere observation, which you could be fooled by a mirage in the desert if that's how you're going to go by things. Quite frankly, I'm disappointed. I wanted to become a flat earther today, but he didn't give me what I was looking for. So that's all I got to say about that. So
All right, you got it. 1 minute on the floor there, Iron Horse.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting, because I'm still surprised that anybody could actually believe they lived on anything except a flattened stationary Earth. So, yeah, I'm very impressed with the fact that he could cling to the preconceived notions that you've been brought up with since a young child to still believe we live on a spinning space ball hurtling through a vacuum of space. I think that's just incredible. The length it takes to believe such a thing, it's it's probably the greatest miracle in the world. So thank you very much, Ryan, and appreciate being here.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Iron Horse, and to Aiden. A big round of virtual applause to them in the live chat. We are going to be back next week for more juicy debates, so make sure you hit that like button. If our speakers have links, we're going to get them linked in the live chat. If they're not there yet, we're going to get them there for sure. So stay tuned. Once again, hit that like button, and we'll see you all shortly. Take care. Yeah, no problem at all. I'm gonna send you guys, if you want to join me and Ozzy, and we're gonna head over to our show and do a little after show. Maybe I should let the people in the live chat know that. That's probably a good idea. We want people to be directed there. After show at after show at the highest continent on Earth. Oh shit. Fuck. Damn it. That was Buddy's super chat because I just copy paste. Yeah, it does. It does. Still live mic, says somebody. Good. That's kind of what I was hoping for. They can hear me kind of talking about it. I turned down the music a bit there, MXXD. Glad to see you hanging out in the live chat. So yeah, when I switched the screen, I did turn off my mic, but I guess it's still on for all of you to hear. So we'll see you over on the live show, guys, or the after show. You'd never do that.
self-oppression. What am I to do but tear away when I'm boiling at the top? Try to find a way to fight the fire, smart to rap from the minds of liars. To call the shots as you bow your heads, and the marching never stops. The stars could be free, but this insanity bends you right by the knee. Running in circles now for something that can't be found. And I bet as you hit the wall, the rain starts to fall. You can run away, sing a tune that's true. I'll be beside you. Of laughter, turn around as your heart beat faster. Your hollow shape as the faith begins to drop. Shelter can find your thoughts of suicide. It's hanging down by the fray. Running in circles now for something that can't be found, and there's no time for today. You prayed away, the world would be untrue. I will rise against you. Until they're gone, nothing can matter at all. Insanity bends you right by the knee. Running in circles now for something that can't be found. Out of breath, smash the wall, the water consumed all. You prayed away that the world would be untrue as it rose against you. When you're gone.